All right, here we are. Okay, so the first thing about making offers, you have to um, start off with the standard thing to present for a cash offer. And I want to go over that and then kind of the tips for getting offers accepted, because it's one thing to know how to present an offer. And then the second important thing is how to get it accepted. Um, I got a call today. I know that some of the pushback is a 10-day due diligence, but that's one of the most important pieces to it. So with the offer, we do have it right here in our software in the offer generator, where you go in there and fill in that information. The key things that must be in the offer is you as a buyer, or your company or my company as a buyer, and or assigns. That allows the contract to be assigned to someone else. Um, a lot of times, in general, if a contract doesn't say it's not assignable, then it is. But because we're dealing with realtors, we want to make sure there's clear verbiage in there so that you won't get a deal and they're not able to assign it. So whenever I write mine, I'll go to an offer now. Let me pull one up over here in the software. Right here is the offer generator software. And let's see. Okay. Did you disappear? You went away? Hello?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, hey, I don't know. I got disconnected right in front of the building. I don't know why.
Okay.
But you were talking about the offer, making sure it's assignable. So is that you're just saying that has to be some verbiage in the offer, like the contract that you're tendering, or that's just something that you have to check off in the software?
No, so yeah, so when I sign as the not when I sign, when I print as the buyer, I print my company name, BidStar LLC, and / or assigns. That is me saying this contract is assignable to anybody I wanted to assign it to. I always do that to make sure that the contract is assignable. In general, if the contract doesn't say it's not assignable, it is assignable. But this is a way to make sure that you don't miss anything in the contract, and that it's clear that you can assign this contract to someone else. Because a wholesaler, you're gonna sell the contract. That's the whole goal behind this. So in the offer generator here on line 1, you have the seller's information, which I usually just put owner of record for the seller. I don't even worry about knowing who it is. Owner of record. Then I put BidStar LLC and or assigns. Now, because we're going through real estate agents, we don't have to fill out the contract, but this is the information I send them. If you've seen the double dip information, when you put down who's the buyer, this is what you want to put: BidStar, your company name or your name, and or assign. It's okay to use my company name now since these contracts are coming to my company. I don't mind that at all. All right. So that's one thing that you want to always remember to put in. All right. Then let's see.
And then that's hey, if it doesn't say assign, what is that? Does that make you obligated just to purchase it and you can't wholesale it off?
If it doesn't say an and or sign, you have to close on it first and then sell it. So you have to do a double close.
Right. But you're gonna you accrue additional fees to close, like, right?
Yep, you accrue additional fees. There are some advantages doing a double close. If you're buying an REO from a bank, you have to do a double close in a lot of cases. Unless there's another technique where you can add someone to your LLC. But in general, you'll do a double close if you're buying from a bank because they don't want to see you making profit off your buy. You may want to do a double close if your assignment fee is really high, like you about to make $30,000 on an assignment, then you may want to do a double close on that. In general, when you're making $5,000 to $10,000, you want to go ahead and do an assign. I like to set them all up to assign because I have a strategy in place. So even if I'm making more than $10,000, I present it to my buyer and let them know that I'm making money, and so they already have an understanding what the assignment is. So otherwise, you would have to double close to do the deal. All right. And this offer, that's section 1. And section 2, real property to be purchased. I just use the address. You can describe it with the legal description on the description part. Sometimes I just put the parcel number. All right. Number 3, included in sale. If there's anything additional that's included in the sale, like refrigerators or appliances, I put it there. Or anything I want to add, you can make a quick little $150, $500 off some of that stuff, or more if you sell it. Purchase price is just what you've agreed to. Now, this is important in section 4 here. I always say my initial deposit is $0. I'm actually making the earnest money deposit after my due diligence phase, which is 10 days. So what helps in making offers is knowing that you don't have to put out earnest money right away for all offers. It's a 10-day process where I get to sell the property basically before I have to pay any earnest money for it. It lets me know how hot the deal is and if there's any complications in the deal. So you want to always build in that contingency factor of a due diligence phase and pay earnest money after that. But even when I pay the earnest money, I pay it to the attorney. It's a check. So the seller never gets the earnest money. So if anything goes wrong, we still have these contingencies in place. You don't want to go around handing out earnest money to buyers and making a whole bunch of offers. That will end up getting to you at some point. You'll be out of some money. So building a 10-day due diligence phase, and also give your earnest money checks to the attorney. All right. That's how that goes.
Yeah, so, all right. So, when you say zero earnest money, and then you have that 10-day lag to allow for you to assess everything with the deal as well as get a feel for if you're going to have a buyer. But what happens after that 10 days? Say I don't get it sold or closed. Do I still have to pay the earnest money, or how do I move forward from there?
Right. So before the 10 days, you want to establish if you're actually going to move forward or not. So like, here's what I'm working on right now. It looks like the repair cost is going to be a little higher than I expected. It's a 1920 house. Got to pull some paneling off of it. And my mentor has basically explained to me that it's going to have some of that, what do they call it, wall, plaster wall. So it's going to cost a little bit more to repair. So I'm going back to the seller and asking for a price decrease. So if he doesn't decrease the price, or I don't find a buyer other than my main partner before the 10 days is up, I'm going to tell them that, hey, the repair cost was higher than expected, and I'm not going to be able to buy the property unless I get a reduced price. And at that point, end the contract if they don't agree to it. So you're out no money. You want to do that before the 10 days are up, though. If the 10 days are up, then you're obligated to pay that earnest money and proceed with closing the house. You follow that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So you really have no obligation to purchase a home in that 10-day grace period.
That is correct.
Is there any legal requirements, like do you have to actually have some findings of, hey, this is coming in above what I thought of repair costs, or the assessment I had on the home, the damages or the value of that neighborhood, et cetera, isn't, the comps aren't meeting? I mean, is there something official you have to say, or do you just got to say, hey, I'm not going to be that close, and without really giving a detailed business case explanation for why you're backing out of the deal?
No, all you have to do for me, anytime I come up against something that's going to make me not move forward with the deal, I ask for a concession, right? I ask them, hey, this is what I need to do the deal. If they're able to do it, then I'm going to proceed, right? But if they're not able to do that, then I'm going to close out the deal, and I'm not going to do it. There's nothing you have to provide to them other than the value is not there, the repair estimate is higher, or whatever the factor end up being, right? But you have 10 days to figure that out. Okay, so that's the advantage. So that's one thing that's really cleared me up on making offers. I can make offers all day now because I'm not losing money by making offers. And that used to be a thing that really bothered me about putting these checks out. All right, there's no financing contingencies. It's all cash. So that next section is all cash. Section 7, condition of premises as is. That's no problem. Section 8, again, brings up the 10 days, the inspection clause here. Inspection shall be completed and results reported to seller owner before 5 p.m., 10 days of acceptance. So that's the deal. In this next section, I also put down here where should the buyer elect as means to terminate the agreement or seller is unwilling to correct any unsatisfactory conditions, the buyer shall notify seller on or before 5 p.m. on 5 days of buyer's election to terminate this agreement. So if I decide to terminate the agreement, I'm going to let them know. So usually within that 10-day grace period, I try to let them know that, hey, I'm going to terminate this agreement. So, but that doesn't always happen. But it's a 10-day grace period, basically period. But I always give them a chance to rebuttal first. All right, lead paint, that's something we have to fix all the time if it comes up. Occupancy, closing date, 30 days from accepted offer. So you always on set. You want to set your closing date, not just to be a closing date, but you want to make it reference to when they actually sign the binding contract. It should always be set 30 days from accepted offer, not just a date. So a lot of times I put my offer out, say on the 20th, the seller doesn't sign until the 22nd. They have the closing date for the 20th of the next month. So you have to make sure that you put 30 days from the accepted offer. It gives you 2 more days to close if needed. If you put down when your offer is put in, you can get a signature on the contract a lot later than when you actually make the original offer. All right, the next section covers warranty deeds, marketable title for the state of Georgia. This is just standard legal things. You have to default if you don't actually follow through. Then you have your earnest money that you turn in, common interest, listing, the listing broker information, all that goes here. You initial it. Here's the next important thing. I always put this in the additional terms and conditions section, if not higher on this contract, this offer in this case. Additional terms and conditions, earnest money deposit, EMD, to be provided at completion of 10-day inspection period. So I always let them know earnest money is not provided until the end of the 10-day inspection period. This is just ensuring you're not out of any money and you have time to actually research the deal and check with buyers for the seller. As you go through this agreement, it's just a few more legal things here about electronic signatures, completion of the agreement, and notices. I always give. So this offer that I'm looking at in our software, you only really have to fill this out when you're dealing with a direct seller. The real estate agent is going to do this whenever you're dealing with a real estate agent, because we're using double dip technique, which is through a real estate agent. You very seldom will have to fill out this form unless you're going through to a private seller. The key that I want to point out is these are the terms that you want to look out for. The key thing you want to have is your name or your company name and or signs as the buyer. You can sign as yourself, right? I sign everything as Arthur Horton, manager, or Arthur Horton, depends on how they draw it up, but I prefer to sign as manager because it includes me with my corporation. But you want to sign as yourself, but you want to have it listed by your name and or signs, or your company and or signs. You also want to make it clear that you have a 10-day due diligence period. You also want to make clear that you do not pay any earnest money prior to the due diligence period being completed. Right? During that time, you'll be able to tell them if you need some concessions or not. All right? Time of acceptance usually is 2 days or 1 day for them to accept the offer. This contract that I'm looking at, I have 3 days written in there. But when you're going through the agent usually has it set for the next day. Or they know when that person's available. I just got a contract back today, which I put the offer in middle of the week. But I knew that the seller was out of town until today. So they signed it today and turned it back in. All right. So those are just the key components to an offer. You want to also make sure that you have the proof of funds letter that goes out with it. Anytime you're making a cash offer, you should have a proof of funds with it. In the system right here, in the proof of funds generator, you're able to go right in and print out your proof of funds letter and send over to the seller or to the realtor. And you always want to turn that in with your offer, right? You got to show that you have the funds, and we do. And here's the proof of fund letters to go with it. If you're dealing with a private seller, very seldom they'll ask for a proof of funds letter. If you're dealing with a realtor, you're going to always want. Is that
proof of funds for? Is that proof of funds to purchase the house? Proof of funds for the earnest money?
Proof of funds to purchase the house. So right.
So everybody has to like anybody I'm adding on, they need to have some type of line of credit. How would they justify? You know, like some of the younger folks be trying to onboard or prove to the system. How would they take proof of funds? That's your business, your company, and they need to come in addition.
Right. So our proof of fund partner, I'm gonna open one of these up so you guys can see it. Is, can I see one? I'm just download one so I can open one up real quick. Our proof of fund partner is JLN. Open up. Here it is. I got one to open up so I can read it out to you. Right. If you can see the screen I'm on, you just put the property address in, the amount of money that you're offering on the property, and then you can put in your name, or right now, anyone using the system can use my company, BizStar LLC, and you can have it that way. This proof of fund is being provided to anyone in the roundtable. So we all have the same ability for private funds through this system. It'll read JLN Capital. It'll have the date that you created it. To whom it may concern, this letter is confirmed that JLN Capital has a business relationship with BizStar LLC, or it could be Gail Young, or it could be anything that you want there for the purpose of providing funding for the purchase of real estate located at the property address, and is pre-approved in the amount of, it's $100,000 provided that the property complies with the guidelines set forth. So that's the big part about this system. It allows you to just go ahead and plug in the information and print out that proof of funds letter or send it over. If they have any questions, they can call that number listed there. They can speak with Nancy, and she'll give them the details saying, yeah, she see that you have been approved for that amount of money. And this is a soft proof of funds. A soft proof of funds is for houses that are deals that does not have a contract yet. So you're turning this soft proof of funds just to show you have a relationship with a lender that will give you the funds, right? Until the contract's signed, it doesn't become a hard proof of funds. That's when you actually have a, hey, we've agreed on terms, and hey, here's my loan for this amount. But whenever you're making an offer cash, you want to have this soft proof of funds letter that you submit to the seller. Hope I answered your question. Did I?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. All right. So the proof of funds letter is the next thing. With that information, you're good. You have the offer and you have the proof of funds. When we use a double dip technique, I use that whole lingo in the double dip technique, explaining all those terms I just laid out to you. And I send an attachment of the proof of funds letter to the realtor when I make the offer. And that's it. They go in and draw up the contract and all that stuff according to those terms. And then they send it over to the seller. Right? So that's the basic steps, right? Those offers should be being made every day. There should be 5 offers being made every day. A total of at least 30 a week should be going out every day. You got to make the offers to get the deals. Now, here's some things that could sweeten up your offer. One, offers that does not have the due diligence phase in there, they may get accepted faster. I haven't ran across many sellers who don't want the 10-day due diligence phase in there. They say, why don't you just go look at the house? And I explained to them that I have too many deals to look at. I am making offers, and once I have something close or agreed upon, I will go in and confirm my findings. I'm doing desktop appraisals of the property, desktop rehab estimations. But there's no need for me to go look at a house until I have an offer that's been accepted or something that's really close for me to have an idea that I want to go look at it. So I need to have a contract in hand for that. And it's 2 things, right? You can't get a real proof of funds letter. I mean, a hard proof of funds without the contract. You don't want to go around and start looking at houses without the contract. because you're going to find yourself going around looking at a whole bunch of houses all the time, and you don't really have someone that's ready to sell the property. So you want to wait till you get an offer that's accepted or something that's close that want to make you have a little further analysis before you do anything else, right? But you got to have that 10-day due diligence phase in there to make sure you get the funding, make sure you can estimate the rehab, make sure that you have your buyers in place. In this case, I'm the buyer, and I need that time to actually make sure I protect my investors. Okay? So we don't remove that, but removing that sometimes will make it a lot faster for some sellers. All right, the other thing is you can do is increase your earnest money deposit. So in most of my double dip right now, I use $1,000 earnest money deposit check. You can increase that to 1% of whatever the house is selling for. That's another one. Or just standard is $2,500 as well. The higher the earnest money check, the better that the seller will accept it. You can jack it up as high as you need really to get it accepted because you're not putting it out until after the 10-day due diligence phase. And if you do get it accepted through the partnership, then we will pay the earnest money. The only concern is when you put earnest money up, you don't want to jack it up too high because your new buyer has to put that amount up. So just say, for instance, it's not accepted through the partnership, the deal genie, and we got to go out and find some more other partners or other buyers to take it on. You want to make sure they can cover that and doesn't balk at it. So the highest I usually put down is $2,500. The general I put down is $1,000, and I have used $500 before. But to let them know you're serious, the higher the earnest money, the more serious they tend to take the offers and more likely to accept it. If I put an offer in for $1,000 earnest money, then I'm looking for a buyer to come in and put at least $1,000 down or more to cover me for the earnest money. Hope that part is clear. The other thing that is helpful for getting contracts accepted is how short of the term to purchase the property. In general, I use a 30-day after acceptance, but you could actually close the house faster than that. So you could put down something less, 10, 15, 20 days. Right now, it's best to use 30 days because of the due diligence. The due diligence phase is a part of that 30 days. So it's actually 20 days after due diligence that you'll close. But you don't want to shorten it down too much and to find out that you're trying to close too fast. And for the partnership that we have for the 5K program, 30 days is what's expected. If there's private money coming from someone else, then it could be a lot faster. But those are the things that you can use besides the basics to get your deals accepted. Very seldom I have sellers balk at the 10-day due diligence. I have very seldom, only one have balked at the $1,000 earnest money, and I have none to balk at the 30-day close. So, all right, any questions out there?
No, I'm good. That's a great session, sir.
Okay. Well, I hope that helped. I'll put that other guide together that you talked about. Hopefully I get that done tonight. If not, it will be forthcoming in the next few days. I call it a quick start guide for on-market properties, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hey, get active. First of all, join the roundtable, and then, hey, make offers. That's how you get deals, all right?
Yeah, I just got to get everything aligned in the system and in my computer, then I'm ready to go.
Okay.
I'll probably call you tomorrow if I can schedule to meet you, but I got a few things going on. But I may call you tomorrow if I can meet up with you after I knock out those benchmark documents. Okay, awesome. All right, well, talk to you later. All right, thank you, sir.
All right, bye. Okay. Okay, so we're on now. We're back to where we were. Close this.